There is a simple move poker players fail to use and it prevents them from becoming less predictable. Learning how to add this move to your game will separate you from majority of the poker players at the tables. I have used it over my 6-year poker career and it has helped me be profitable every year. So in this video, I am going to show you the many ways to use this move to make more money in all of your games. There are many circumstances when we can use this simple move to run over our opponents since many play so poorly against it. The first circumstance will be shown when I am dealt King 9 suited in the small blind. It would be a blind versus blind pot at this 2-5 game. I will raise it up to $15. Villain and big blind will be put it in the call. We go heads up to a flop of Queen Deuce 4, 2 hearts. Now it is finally time to apply the simple move I discussed earlier. Here, many players would love to just go for a continuation bet, aka C bet, since they have a king high flush draw. To set up the move though, we cannot be aggressive yet, so I will check. My opponent puts a bet of $15 in the pot, and this is exactly what I wanted. If you want to be less predictable, you must include more check raises in your game, and yes, sometimes we will have a hand that is not made yet. In poker, opponents view checks as a sign of weakness and feel the need to bet themselves. If we always bet when we have it, we will never have any hands when we find checks here on the flop. Mixing it up is how you keep your opponents guessing and not being able to have a good read on you. Also, ranges are very wide in a blind versus blind configuration, so there's even a higher percent chance villain may not have a hand here and folds. I will check raise and bump it up all the way to $50, a 3.3x raise roughly. After a couple of seconds, my opponent is going to fold and show pocket jacks. There are so many points to make here, but I want to focus on two mainly. First, I managed to take down this pot, making $30 or 6 big blinds without ever having a made hand. I had a draw, and there is no guarantee I would have hit a heart or a king to beat my opponent. Second, they folded a made hand to my check raise, which they should have found a call. This is exactly what I discussed earlier about people playing poorly against check raises. They do not know how to react or defend against them properly. You can run over and outplay opponents in your games as long as you find more check raises. I will expand on using this simple move in many different situations because we must know how to use it when positions are different, if our opponent finds a call versus the check raise, and so on. You can continue to learn more ways to improve your poker game easily with my free poker newsletter. By scanning the QR code on your screen, you will receive hand history breakdowns and free tips to consistently win more money at the poker tables. You can click the pinned comment below to check it out as well. This time, the stakes are a bit higher at a 2-5 game with a $10 straddle on, and I am dealt King 4 suited in the straddle. Under the gun +1 raises $25. It folds to cut off, and they put in the call. It folds to me in the straddle, and I will be calling too. This time, we are three-handed, headed to a flop of 5-3-5 rainbow. I will check, and under the gun +1, the pre-flop aggressor is going to be placing a C bet for $20, about 25% of the pot. Cutoff is going to fold. Now, this is a bit of a different situation because ranges are not as wide in the blind versus blind situation. My opponent opened under the gun, so they are going to have a tighter range. This may be true, but people still tend to C bet too much at times, and this board is going to be one of those spots. This is going to be a check raise with nothing on flop spot. This time, I do not even have a flush draw, but I do have backdoor equity to straights and flushes. Also, I will have infinitely more 5x than my opponent for trips, and hitting a king at some point may end up being the best hand. Because of all these reasons, we will go for the check raise with our mediocre holding here and make it $65 to go. Preferably, we will want to fold in this spot, but sadly, my opponent is going to call. Yes, this is the risk we take sometimes when we make this simple move, but all this means is we have two more streets of poker to play. We are heads up going to the turn, and it comes the king of hearts. Even though I hit the king here, I do not have the best kicker. Also, kings and aces coming on a turn are going to be much better for under the gun plus one's range than mine. Sometimes in poker, you have to respect someone's range and not play your exact hold'em, so I will check my option. Villain decides they will fire out a bet here and puts $145 in the middle, a 66% pot bet. Things are feeling a bit scary, but this is okay. I have a pair, and we did not come this far to start folding now, as my opponent can bluff on this card. Even the most novice of players know if a king or ace comes here on the turn, they can have it. The key word is can, and it is a good enough reason to fire out a bet here, so I will still continue with a call. We go to the river, and it comes the jack of clubs. This is a great river because now I have a decent kicker with my pair of kings. The heart flush draw from the turn missed as well. I check my option. After a couple of seconds, my opponent is going to check back too. I turn over my king four suited and my opponent will be folding their hand. We win a big pot of $267. The main focus here though is finding the scary check raise on the flop with no made hand and being able to navigate the turn and river. The more you put yourself in these situations, the more experience you will gain for your poker game. Circumstances are going to change again when we are dealt 10-8 offsuit in the big blind. It is going to fold to cutoff and they open 3x to $15. Button will be putting in the call. Small blind folds and I will defend my big blind. We are three-handed going to a flop of 4-9-7 rainbow. This time we flop an open-ended straight draw, but it will be played differently than previous hands. I check, and now it is on cutoff, the preflop aggressor to make a decision. They will find a C bet for $30, a 66% bet on the flop. We have been facing a lot of C bets on the flop, but they have all been smaller sizes until now. Button is going to fold, and this time instead of check raising, I will just be putting in a call. We are heads up going to the turn, and it comes the 5 of hearts. I check my option again. Villain does not slow down here and places another big wager of $75. It is now time to apply the simple move once again. The turn is going to be much better for my range and I can already have a straight since I will have 8-6 suited here. Turn check raises tend to be viewed as extremely strong in poker. We do not have the straight, but we will make it seem this way when we check raise it up to $225. We are also playing 200 big blinds deep in this pot, making it even more scary for my opponent. They do not want to call light or with a mediocre holding in this spot. Well-timed aggression in poker separates the great players from the weaker ones. After only 1 second, they snap fold, which would mean they did not have much of a decision to make or just knew they were beat. Next time you play, try to implement turn check raises in your game and see how your opponents react to such a strong play. You can learn how to turn up your aggression and become a better poker player by scanning this QR code to join my free poker newsletter. I give detailed advice on improving your game for free. You can also join by clicking the link in my pinned comment below. Next hand will be a different situation again when I am dealt Jack 9 offsuit in big blind at a 5-10 game. Under the gun starts out with a limp for $10, and this causes a chain reaction as cutoff limps and small blind decides to do the same. With a mediocre holding here, there is no point in raising, so I will check my option. This time we are four-handed going to a flop of 10-7 ace rainbow. Not the best flop for my hand, but an 8 would give me the nuts, aka the best hand possible that can be made using this board. Spoiler alert, we will not check raise the flop this time, so let's see how this plays out. Small blind checks and I will be checking as well. Under the gun makes it a pot size wager for $40. This is the biggest bet we have seen on the flop. Cutoff is going to come along with the call and small blind is going to be folding their hand. No reason to check raise here against this aggressive size. I will just be calling. We are three-handed going to the turn and it comes the 8 of spades giving me the nut straight. I am going to check again. Under the gun is still going to be making big bets when they make it $110 to go. Cutoff puts in the call and now we finally have the different situation I talked about. With two people still being in the pot and the spade flush draw coming in on the turn, it is finally time to put in a check raise having a made hand. Yes, being able to check raise with no made hand is important, but understanding when you must with a made hand is also very significant. We want to fast play our hand and build up the pot as quickly as possible, especially being out of position to the rest of the table. I will check raise a little over 3x, making it $360 to go. Villain who fired a double barrel does not make a decision right away and goes into the tank. After about 40 seconds or so, they do elect to fold their hand, indicating they must have had an extremely good hand. Cutoff does not think as long as them, and they will be put in the call. We go to the river and it comes the 5 of clubs. Perfect river and perfect sizing for the check raise on the turn. Why? It is because if you look at the pot size, there is $990 in the middle. Villain only has a little over $900 left, which would set up a perfect pot size jam on the river. Yes, we do not want to size down here and bet 50% or 30% attempting to get called. To maximize our winnings at the poker tables in this spot, you must go for it all. I go all in on the river, and Villain does think about their decision for a little bit. Ultimately, they put in the call and I turn over the best hand possible. They fold their cards and say they had pocket aces for top set. Check raising more is just one simple move, and you should watch this next video to learn another move that makes live poker easy.